Following the explosive battle at Babylon 5, the Civil War settled into a stalemate. President Clark began to focus on bringing in the rebellious world like Proxima 3 and Orion 7 and crushing the Mars resistant. While rebel Earthforce ships were still on the loose, there were too small in numbers and almost no supply line to replace lost crew or equipment, so they were considered a nominal threat at best. Babylon 5 was now fully involved in the current Shadow War and thus caused almost no problems for him. Plus, Clark's Shadow allies informed him that they would deal with the station in time, and as such, Clark generally steered clear of it. Clark began his campaign to retake the rebel worlds, starting with Mars. While bombing attacks did do some minor damage, the Mars resistance was stubborn and kept fighting back against Earthforce troops. Clark continued to send in more and more troops till they numbered in the hundreds of thousands. Adding to this, Psychor, who was playing both sides to advance their own agenda, supplied loyal telepaths to do scans on anyone deemed a threat of even if they were remotely connected to any possible individual of interest. These scans were done without the consent of the person being scanned, and there was no area off-limits to them. A simple person could be scanned just for walking down the street, and some telepaths would invade the minds of people involved in personal activities just for their own amusement. But as time passed and the progress was slow, Clark ordered more aggressive and illegal actions, including rounding up family or friends of a wanted person and executing them in hopes of driving them into the open to be arrested or killed. While stubborn, Mars was losing the war and no help was coming soon. On Orion 7, the lightly colonized world was mostly used for food production and some mining with a small population. When they seceded from the Alliance, all they had was a small police force and a local militia to defend themselves with. When an Earth task force arrived in the system, Orion fell in a few short days. Hundreds of people were arrested, and some political and resistance leaders were killed. The people were subject to massive punishments that caused untold suffering to the point of war crimes. Where Orion 7 was not able to protect itself from President Clark's forces, Proxima 3 fared only slightly better. Proxima was a rich colony with a massive industrial base and a large population. They had a few months to prepare for the inevitable attack. That attack came in the form of 6 Omega destroyers. These ships quickly destroyed the orbital defense and laid a full siege on the planet. The attacks began with unrestricted orbital bombardment on both civilian and rebel targets while being careful not to damage any of the valuable mining or industrial site. Clark didn't care about the people. He just wanted to make sure he could still use the planet's industrial infrastructure for his own gain. The attacks lasted for weeks. Then came the ground troop. Tens of thousands of combat veterans landed on the surface and began a reign of terror on the planet's people. Thousands were killed or maimed by these attacks. After the Shadow War, the Shadows left the galaxy. In doing so, Clark lost his most powerful allies. In a panic, he ordered a full blockade of Babylon 5 and began a massive propaganda campaign against the station and its officers. To help sway public opinion further against Sheridan, he ordered Psi-Corp's elite fighter group, the Black Omega Squadron, to attack an Earthforce patrol guarding one of the jump gates leading to Babylon 5. This attack was thwarted by a fighter group sent by the station to stop the attack and save the pilot. This incident would be the first of many small moves President Clark would make to isolate and weaken the rebel forces. Clark, now realizing he was on his own, became more tyrannical and aggressive towards any opposition. His responses would become more violent and deadly. During the Shadow War, Captain John Sheridan was unable to make any efforts to stop Clark from his illegal actions. As the Shadow War escalated to both Vorlon and Shadows began to employ planet-killer weapons, liberating Earth became a lower priority for him. It wasn't till the Vorlons and the other ancient races left the galaxy forever that he could now focus on stopping Clark. Before the war started, the Minbari religious and worker caste constructed a large fleet of new warships called the White Stars. These ships were built to include Vorlon technology and were very fast, extremely agile, and possessed a powerful weapons array. These ships formed the backbone of the Army of Light, manned by an elite group of warriors called Rangers. Minbari Ambassador Delenn was their leader, but gave overall command of the new fleet to Captain Sheridan to fight the Shadows. During the Shadow War, Captain Sheridan was able to bring the League of Non-Aligned Worlds under a united banner to fight the Shadows. This alliance gave him a great deal of influence and understanding of League politics and mindset. Using their paranoia and the weakened state of their military following the war, he was able to convince them to put several White Star attack ships on their borders to protect them from raiders and a race called the Drak, former servants of the Shadows. This alliance would lay the groundwork for the future interstellar alliance. Following the withdrawal of the Shadows, Sheridan began to send agents to Mars to make contact with the Resistance there as well as launch his propaganda campaign called The Voice of the Resistance. This broadcast was able to reach as far as Earth, Minbar, Narn, and even Centauri Prime. Unlike Clark's system, the VOR was anchored by Babylon 5's second-in-command, Susan Ivanova. Through her only the truth was broadcast. Her transmissions gave a beacon of hope to worlds struggling to fight off Clark. Another advantage the rebels had was that B5 became a rally point for rebel Earthforce ship. As ships like the Alexander searched and found other rebel ships, some in bad shape, they were directed and sometimes towed the Babylon 5 for repairs, resupply, and medical aid for their crews. Among these ships were the Explorer-class Cortez, 3 Omega destroyers, 4 Hyperion cruisers, a Nova dreadnought, 2 Hermes transports, and an Avenger carrier, as well as several ships from the Belt Alliance. Sheridan was also able to bring several raider groups to his side by offering them protection and a full pardon after the war, provided they don't harm the crews of any ships they capture and give all cargoes to the rebels. Many raiders walked away, but a few did sign on and would become extremely rich by the war's end, and one group started a legitimate shipping company with an exclusive contract with the Interstellar Alliance. But for now, Sheridan was in no rush to restart another shooting war. As with President Clark, both sides choose to wait the other one out until their next move.